Hi, this is Wishop. Welcome to a reading for the full moon of June 17th. I'm a day back, heading into the next new moon, which will be July 2nd at 10 degrees of Cancer, and also, of course, our first eclipse of this part of eclipse season. So it will be a total solar eclipse, June 22nd at basically, it looks like 4:33. I'm not sure if that's universal time or Eastern time. But anyway, we're heading into eclipse season, but I want to talk right now about this super important summer solstice season. So at this time of year, we experience the holiday called Litha or Letha, the summer solstice, as we understand it, the longest day of the year in the northern hemisphere, where the sun appears to stop in the sky, the solstice, because the sun stops. And at this time of this long day and very short night, there are midsummer celebrations, which are very traditional and take place almost around the world in the northern hemisphere. Excuse me. There are also concurrently, basically, St. John's Eve celebrations, which you will find in sort of Christianized pagan traditions and also in the African diasporic religions. There is an adoption of these midsummer festivals into a more Christian context, which then becomes St. John's Eve. But some of the things that you see in the midsummer celebration are the fact is the longest day of the year, so we have sun, fire strongly represented. And then it would be the time of the Nile's flooding, traditionally, known as a time of inundation, so strong water. Cups energy. Cups is often associated as the suit of summertime. So what you find during this time of year is that there are celebrations that include bonfires, leaping over fires for good luck, leaping over fires to guarantee a mate. You will also find celebrations around springs, washing in springs, scrying in springs or wells to see your beloved or intended, casting flower wreaths. If flower wreaths are woven and worn, then you might cast them onto the water to read your future in the way that they float. So this fire and water combination, which is so potent at this time of year, is also sort of implied in fertility, right? We're going to take these two elements, which seem like opposites, and put them together for generative purposes. And I think you feel me on this one. So midsummer is always a time of year where pairing up and sexuality and expression, passionate expression, come to the fore. And Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream, where the humans were sort of confused in the middle of a fairy drama, that takes place at this time of year. And at this time of year, if you're a sensitive person, you may notice that the nature spirits are coming forward, and I believe they sure are. Also, the Fae and the She as something maybe slightly different. They are stepping forward and have a lot of things they're involved in. I'm not even that sensitive to those particular energies, and I'm noticing them this year, so it's pretty strong. I know other people who are much more in touch with that. I'm very in touch with the currents of the Blessed Dead and the Great Majority, and they're kicking up their heels. They're all busy and frolicking. So it is a time of great powerful energy, but also it can feel rather intense because we do have some astrological astronomical weather that is intense. So know yourself and put that to work for you in the best way. If you feel that call to get out there and to be active and to start something with great momentum, do that. But if it also feels like a little crazy out there and people knocking their heads together and that kind of thing, and you want to stay in and work on your contemplative work, your inner work, your spiritual development, close to home and in your inner world, that is also very well aspected, right? Both the fire and the water are very aspected. So you can use the energy the way you want to. So the key thing will be, don't be pushed into someone else's view of what this has to mean to you, but look at it as an opportunity to make the most of what matters to you. So, okay, let me get into the cards. I am going to use the Madame Clara's deck again. This is Madame Clara, Fate, Destiny, Fortune. I've got a couple of these. Here's one. Here's two. And I also wanted to do a different oracle. So I am using the Venice oracle, which was originally a French deck and is in translation. It's kind of like a majors deck, but then they add 14 secondary cards. So the majors relate strongly to the themes of the major arcana, but then their minors, or the 14 secondary cards, are specific to this deck. And of course it's got the themes and the places of Venice, but it's a French deck, so it's got this kind of international flair, but also Venice being a land, a really beautiful land on the water with all the canals. It kind of is fitting for this time of year as well. So I'm going to do one of these. And I didn't think about it till I'd already picked the decks, but you can see the backing of the Madame Clara deck, and it came in this gorgeous bag. I encourage you to look for it if you like the looks of it. But I also keep the Venice Oracle in this bag. So, how did I ever decide to use these together? Anyway, if we get to the cards here, oh my goodness, the Hand of Mysteries. This is one of the bonus cards in the Madame Clara deck. There are 2 extra cards which are non-traditional majors, but they're bonus cards. I wonder if we will get one of the bonus cards from the Venice Oracle. Okay, and we have the 9 of Pentacles, but in reverse. So we're going to look at that. That is cool. Okay, so these are just uprights. Le Puy, I'm assuming. It is interesting to me that we have a woman at a well. That is pretty cool. So 14 would typically be temperance, basically. And this is, the way they say it, the Ca de Oro well. So it's temperance, which is very interesting, right? This time of year, temperance comes up a lot because we have the high fire and the high water. You know, this would be the time when the Nile would be flooding to make fertility return to the land. And as the floods subside, it would dump new silt, basically, and dirt into the farmlands, and then we would start to see the birth of new little plants. So it's this renewal process that comes as a product of fire and water. So here we have temperance, which really combines these 2 concepts. So I'm going to read you out of this book. It says, card of moderation, harmony, and serenity announces balance, peace, and tranquility. It favors a progressive advancement in one's activities, enables one to enjoy a gentle and harmonious love life, brings about financial recovery, facilitates studies, softens various difficulties or ordeals. And I think that's wonderful, because that's certainly what many people would like to see, is a softening of their ordeals and a blending, a harmonizing of things in their lives. So let me read. A nice thing about the Madame Claire deck is they have the words in both directions. So it's also a very good beginner deck because you always have guides on the cards. So I'm going to read you what this one says. Standing in the way of you and the good life is likely you. So typically we think of the Nine of Pentacles in the upright, and you can see this hand holding the bird. Oop, if I scoot it, because we often have a woman in a garden and she's surrounded by abundance. It doesn't look like she did all the work herself. It looks like she is sort of managing the estate, or, you know, the owner operator of her own estate. So frequently it's a card of independent success. Success that allows you to have the means to contract and hire the kind of help that you need. So this is saying you're not feeling that independent success, that success to be your own boss, so to speak, or run things the way you want. And if you're not, the issue may be deep within yourself. So this is interesting because we then have the Hand of Mysteries, which is, as I said, a bonus card, one of two bonus cards in the Madame Claire deck. And it says, get in touch with your higher being and seek power within. So on this hand, you'll see there's a key, a bell, a sun. Oh, it kind of looks like a six-pointed star. Is that a trumpet? It could be a ship. I'm not quite sure, actually, without my glass. And then there's a fish in the middle of the hand. So, so it's the Hand of Mysteries, and it says seek power within. And it looks like here, in whatever you may be trying to change in your life. And I will say, I actually have a couple different larger projects that I've sort of taken on, not taken on because they're not someone else's. I've initiated them. And I don't know how they're going to work out. I'm not really bent out of shape about the chance of success or failure at this moment. I just think it's probably very good for me to go through the process of doing this project. I think I'm going to learn a lot as I go through these processes. But I thought I would just have one main thing, and I actually do have a couple that I'm doing. Not 10, but probably a couple. And maybe like a very sub third, but that just fits in the gaps where the other ones aren't. But what I want to say is this idea that the power that you seek is within you, and that you go to this well, because here it's a well. It's not her mixing the cups together or an angel. We frequently see the Temperance card is ideal for this mix of fire and water, because we will see the angel of fire, because the angel in the Rider-Waite deck has the symbol for fire on its chest as it's mixing the cups together, and it has 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the water. It is this blended time, and this is a time when we are making our own recipe, and that blend requires a great deal of personal honesty, I think, or at least that's part of the process I've been going through. Personal honesty about what you really want. What do you really want? And not being ashamed of that. You don't have to tell the world, but you need to know for yourself what you want. And one thing I would stress is that your desires, the things that you really want for yourself, those desires are there for a reason. I believe they're there because they're part of your divine purpose. They may also be part of things that you're in this life to untangle, riddles that you're trying to solve, issues you're trying to heal. They may be generational issues or ancestral issues that you're trying to heal. So don't judge your desires as if they were all just temporary passing fancies. Consider, if you're not quite sure, what deeper, longer term purpose they may be serving to get you somewhere you're going or to deal with some place you've been. And if they have that kind of connection, they are really divinely guided and not for you to have to explain or defend to anybody else, but to uphold. So if you need to go within, think about doing that and give yourself the time to just to come to your own understanding. And if you are not feeling quite like you're ready to boss around your own actions, go back to the well. Draw a little more from that well and make sure that you've got the recipe right. I've got some plans in place and they're kind of specific, but I may have to adjust as I go if things aren't working well. And I tend to use divination a lot to tell me, well, how are things going? How are things doing? Do I need to make adjustments? Do I not? I think that's one of the greatest purposes of divination is you kind of do a little temperature check or a little progress report as you're moving through unknown territories to kind of see how you're doing and what you might need to adjust on the way. Temperance says you are capable of making these adjustments and that adjustment is not failure. Adjustment is just working the recipe. You know, sometimes you have to freeze the same thing or chill the same dish that you're later going to bake. And that's part of cooking. So there's nothing wrong with working on one side of the issue at one time and then working the other side of the issue. So anyway, this is a bit of a long one and we'll see if I have any luck uploading it. But until next time, because we're hitting eclipse season, so it's a great idea to, as we go into these eclipses, really have deep conversations with yourself about what you want, who you are, what feels right for you, and how to use these powerful energies around you to help get you into the direction of your deepest desires and your real heartfelt wishes and your divine purpose. So anyway, until next time, rock on with your bad selves.